Welcome back to Gamer Night. I'm your host, G.A.M.E.R here, and welcome to a brand new review. Today, we're going to be talking about the not controversial whatsoever, totally universally praised game, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So, this game is just an absolute masterpiece. I mean, everybody has pretty much come to the conclusion that this game is basically perfect and that it was the perfect decision to leave Batman where he was, and that the ending that they gave him was perfect. And let's go a whole new route and bring in these whole new characters that everybody wants to play, like some of the most requested characters ever. And let's make a live service game, which is definitely the trend these days. It's definitely the thing that people seem to want the most. And yeah, I'm going to just stop you right there. Everything I just said was basically cap. That was complete and utter lies. Okay, so anyway. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Boy, where do I start? So first of all, before we get into the review, I apologize for the break, of course, but we are back doing a whole bunch of reviews. Got to catch up on some reviews, and I'm currently trying to catch up on some of the games. I'm not too far behind. Just Mario vs. Donkey Kong, FF7 Rebirth are like my main two that I need to catch up on before 3 big games drop March 22nd. You already know what those games are. But we're going to get back on the grind. But ladies and gentlemen, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So, all right. All jokes aside, this game is highly controversial. It is completely mixed. There are people who absolutely hate it, absolutely despise it. There are people who don't care. There are people who think it's mid, and then there's people who think it's okay, pretty good. There's really nobody who thinks it's amazing. At least I haven't seen or talk to anybody or meet anyone who just thinks it's awesome or it's incredible. But I have seen quite a few people who say, it's fun, it's good. I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch a lot of the different gaming outlets, and there are some that gave this game some praise, not like to the praise of like, oh yeah, Game of the Year contender stuff, but there are positives and negatives. But that's not why you're watching this review. You can find that out on your own. You want to know my opinion on the game, and well, I was fortunate enough to play this with a friend. Me and him beat the main story in literally pretty much like one sitting. It took us less. It came out and we beat it that day. It was pretty fun, and I think right there that probably goes to show you exactly where my opinion lies on the game. The fact that we completed it in basically one sitting means they did something right. And I think that's kind of the overarching conclusion of this game is I think they did something right, but there isn't enough that they did right. So let's go ahead and get talking about it. The first thing that I think we need to go ahead and just get out the way, the fact that his live service is absolutely the worst part of the game. I mean, it just is. The fact that it went live service is, look, unfortunately everybody, no matter what review you're gonna watch, no matter who you're gonna talk to about it, they're gonna compare it in some shape or form to the Batman Arkham game. And I mean, it only makes sense. You're taking a studio who basically made one of the best trilogies in gaming ever, and you completely switch what they do and what they make, and so now it's kind of that big comparison. Well, I'm gonna try not compare him, because at the same time, while it is the same studio, you have to take some games and most games for what they are rather than what they're not, right? I feel like that's a lot of people's issues with this game, is that they're looking at what it's not rather than what it is. And I think that is the complete wrong way of looking at it, because they are two completely different things. While, yes, made by the same studio, I don't think that was their intent to appeal to necessarily the people who loved Arkham games. I think it was for a completely different set of people, while still maybe interesting. to those Arkham fans, and that's kind of where I was. I was interested in it, but I wasn't always like really like excited for it. I thought it was going to be great. But that being said, the fact that it is live service is really bad. And you know, there are good live service games. I mean, we've seen Helldivers 2 this year be a huge success, and that is live service. And there are great live service games. Some games that I love playing are live service, but this one just does not do it. The microtransactions, the repetitive levels, the kind of like dry post game. I don't know why I said kinda. It is very dry post game. There's really nothing to do after you beat the main story except play the exact same like objectives over and over and over again, and it gets really, really repetitive. And yeah, it just does not do the whole moving to live service thing justice. It really does not. And I really hate to say that because, like I said, there are some good live service games, but this is just unfortunately not one of them. But I will say, there are redeeming factors of this game, and actually there are things that I actually really enjoyed. And I'm going to just go ahead and say we're going to jump straight to the gameplay. So, I think personally, and this is just my opinion, I think the gameplay was pretty solid. Is it amazing gameplay? No. Is it like some of the most fun I've ever had playing a game? No. Was I impressed by a lot of the things the gameplay had to offer? No. But what did it do? It kept me having fun through my playthrough of the game. It never once got boring. It never once got stale. It kind of just stayed, yeah, this is perfectly fine. It's fun. It's cool. We have good moments every now and then. That's really all there is to it. It doesn't have to blow. Every game doesn't have to do something to blow you out the water. You know, you aim for that. That's always a goal. But you shouldn't have this expectation where every game has to blow your mind. Otherwise, it's just not good. Some games can just be fine, just good. And I think this is one of those games where the gameplay is just good. It just is what it is, and I'm not upset at it whatsoever. I don't think there's any huge negative parts about the gameplay. The worst part about the gameplay is the fact that all the live service elements with the repeated objectives, with the repeated mission types, that's the worst part of the gameplay. It's not the combat, it's not the characters, it's not the traversal. The traversal is actually amazing. I love the traversal. And matter of fact, I liked all the mobility. The mobility in this game is easily the best part of the combat and gameplay as a whole. It feels really fast paced. It feels like you have a lot of different options when moving around the map. And I think each character delivers very exciting different play styles. I actually enjoyed playing as every single character. I played as King Shark through the main story, but I went around and messed around with all the different characters, and I personally found a lot to enjoy between all four characters. And yeah, I think the gameplay is it's just solid. I don't think that's a weak part of the game by any means. There are some people who say it's just one of the worst gameplays they've ever played. I truthfully do not see it. If you hate shooters, okay, makes sense. The game is pretty much completely shooting. I get that. But that's kind of what it was advertised. And they never advertised, for it to be the insane hand-to-hand combat that you get in the Batman Arkham games. They advertised it's a shooter, and that's exactly what we got. And in this case, I think it's a better shooter than most shooters we get. So I'm gonna just say it. I think the gameplay is just solid. It's not incredible. It's not bad. It's just a solid gameplay that does the game justice, in my opinion. But speaking of justice, the Justice League. The game is Kill the Justice League. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That is the name of the game. So let's get talking about the story. And this is easily the best part of the game. but also the most disappointing. I know, it makes absolutely no sense. There are a lot of moments in this game's story where you really wish there was more, and you really wish they handled things differently, and you really wish that, they explored other ideas, right? But then there's also a lot of parts where it's funny as all ever. It is one of the funniest games I've played in a long time. I'm not gonna lie with you. Me and my friend were just laughing from start to finish. It is really, really funny. There are really deep emotional moments, specifically with one character, with one of the Justice League members. There was a really, really emotional moment, and I really enjoyed that. The main characters of the game, the Suicide Squad themselves, were written brilliantly. I thought the writing of the game, for the most part, was really good. There are some jokes and, like, some things with some characters that are, like, stupid. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, there's gonna be kind of, like, I'm gonna try and avoid spoilers, but basically there's one scene with one Justice League member and one of the Suicide Squad members, and basically he starts, like, peeing on him, and it's just like, why? Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's not that funny. Like, it's okay. But for the most part, all the jokes pretty much land. But the big part is the chemistry and the banter between all four characters is just perfection. They just did so good. It makes all the in-between fighting and traversing and all the dialogue in the missions just super fun to listen to. It makes the cutscenes really enjoyable. And yeah, it's just in my opinion, it's it's actually a pretty good story in my opinion. I don't know, I'll say it's solid. Because at the same time, I do think the Justice League is honestly the coolest yet most disappointing part of the story. Because the moments they're in, the scenes and story bits that they are in, they are awesome. They're awesome. It is great. The problem is they're not in it enough, and the way they handled some of the characters, and I mean, look, the game is called Kill the Justice League. You get the picture. I'm just gonna go and say it. The way they die is not great. It's not great in my opinion. Especially, I'm gonna say especially personally, especially Flash, Green Lantern, and Superman. I feel like Batman and Wonder Woman are the only two that actually got somewhat of a death scene. Batman's was really just awful. Batman's kind of sucked. Like, it was just a lame death scene, which is so disrespectful in my opinion. I mean, not like super disrespectful, but like, they could have done so much better. Wonder Woman's was great. Wonder Woman's was the best one easily, hands down. But the Flash, Superman, and Green Lantern, their deaths just confused me. Like, it's like nothing ever happened. Loki, like, you do the boss fight, and then they kind of just fall over, and I guess you're just supposed to know that they're dead because they don't acknowledge it or anything. He literally, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It literally the Flash just fell over, and then they just moved on. Like, they looked at him. He started peeing on him, and then literally the next objective, like, they didn't. I don't know. It was just really weird. They did not do proper send-offs or deaths for pretty much any of the characters except Batman and Wonder Woman. One of them sucked. One of them was great. But yeah, I think for majority of the story though, I really enjoyed it because all the parts with the Justice League in it are really great, and the four characters interacting with each other are great. Brainiac was mid. yeah, I could care less about Brainiac in the game, to be honest with you. So yeah, for the most part, it's a solid story. You get what you want out of it for sure. And yeah, that leads me to pretty much the last part of the game I want to talk about, and visually. And I mean, we are talking about Rocksteady. No matter what genre they're doing, they know how to make a pretty game, and they absolutely did. The character models themselves are just absolutely stunning, incredible what they were able to do. The world and environment I thought was really well done. It was one of my favorite parts of the game, just like traversing and going around and climbing all these buildings was just awesome, with great views and all that. How absolute chaotic the game is, I think really works for what they're going for. And I think visually it's a really strong game. But gotta give this game a score. We gotta somehow wrap this game up in one conclusion. And so I'm gonna say this: if you are a DC fan, give this game a try, and you may have fun. I'll even say, if you go in with an open mind, I think you will have fun. I'm just not sure you'll love it. But I think, for some people who just say the game is absolutely not fun whatsoever, it is just complete garbage, I cannot see that for the life of me, because it is fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the game for what it was. There's a lot of things I have problems with, and a lot of things I wish they did differently, but for the 10 hours that I spent with my friend, just straight grinding through the game, we had fun and we had a blast. And it's due to some of the great story beats, to the great visuals, to the pretty fun gameplay. I personally think it's a pretty solid game. I think that's kind of just what I'm gonna give it. I think it's just solid. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just solid. I think it's good. It's not, I don't know. People blow it out of proportion to a maximum. It's either the worst game ever made, it's a disappointment to the industry, or it's, the most underrated game of the year. I don't believe that either. It's just good. It's just solid. In my opinion, it is what I expected. And I feel like that's the problem, and that's why the game became so controversial. People expected Batman Arkham, and that's not what it is whatsoever. And they really never said it was going to be Batman Arkham, and it's not. So I'm gonna clock it in. I know this is gonna be really controversial. All right, I mean, this whole review has probably been controversial. I am giving this a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I think it's just an average game, to be honest with you. I think it's just it just does its job. We move on. I haven't found myself wanting to go back to the game, I'll be honest. Which is really bad for a live service game. But at the same time, I really did enjoy it. When I think back on my experience of the game, I have a lot of good memories about it. So, yeah, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because I do just think it is a solid game. Now, here's what I will say. Personally, I liked it way better than Gotham Knights. And, I mean, take that how you will, But with that being said, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry if this review was a little on the more mid side because, I don't know, I'm a little rusty. I haven't done a review in a hot minute, so I'm kind of just talking off the dome right now. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. G.A.M.E.R out. Peace.